Recording in progress.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead. Well, good evening, everybody. Let's see, does anybody have their... So, good evening, everybody. This is a work session of the Greenbelt City Council. And tonight's an unusual, it's not an unusual meeting, but we're actually having a dialogue with members of the spiritual community here in the city of Greenbelt. So just to kick things off, this is a work session. My name's Emmett Jordan. I'm the mayor. We've got two mics. We're going to be passing microphones around and having this dialogue. Council members, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Good evening. I am Councilwoman Danielle McKinney.
Good evening, everyone. I am Councilmember Silky Pope.
Rodney Roberts, City Council. That's all.
Jenny Pompey, council member.
Well, thank you. Hey, initially, I'd just like to say that our work sessions are always open to the public. We meet once or twice informal meetings each month to make decisions, but we have work sessions like this with stakeholder groups to talk about issues of importance to Greenbelt. So it's been about 2 or 3 years, really since before the pandemic, that we've been able to sit down and talk with some of the leadership of our spiritual communities in Greenbelt. And certainly the spiritual well-being of our residents is something that's crucial. And with everything that we've been through over the past couple of years with COVID, I guess 3 years, there's a lot of stress, a lot of real challenging times for individuals and also for our organizations. So it's really, really nice to be able to sit down and have this dialogue with each of you on this rainy night in Greenbelt. So what I'm going to try and do, and I wish we had some wireless microphones, we don't, I'm going to ask each of you to introduce yourselves and to talk a little bit about the organization that you are here representing, just in terms of the numbers of members, how often you meet, and maybe a couple of words about how you're feeling about the state of spiritual health here in the city of Greenbelt. How's that sound? Okay. Now, we're also streaming on Zoom and on YouTube and Facebook as well. So we're going to try and incorporate questions that come in as best we can. But this is more like a dialogue. We didn't want to sit up on the podium and talk with you guys because this is a community. We're all in this together. And, just sitting in a circle and trying to have a conversation's very important. So without further ado, I'm going to pass this microphone around. And if each of you could say your name, which organization you're with, and we'll start from there. Susan? There you go.
Hello? Okay. My name is Susan Walker. I am the representative to Gila from St. Hugh of Grenoble. And I really can't say much about St. Hugh of Grenoble as far as the number of people there. I do know there's a diverse organization, and that's one of the reasons why I like being in it. It's easy to walk to from my house. And I think that St. Hugh's is in great shape as far as the spiritual. the thing that concerns me is I've had my car vandalized twice because it's a Kia through the TikTok challenge. And that makes me feel that the young people in this community need some things to do so that they're not doing bad things to other people's property. So that's my biggest concern at this point. And also making sure that there is funding for rental assistance and the pantry.
I'm Gloria Klein Smythe. Good evening to councillors. I once was a part of this system because my background is in local governments. So when I hear of the municipality of Greenbelt, I get all excited. Thank you for the work you do and for providing services for us. I come from Good Samaritan Lutheran Church, and our challenge is being a part of Greenbelt, yet not being a part of Greenbelt. And they refer to us as those people up there. Our main concern is transportation, first of all. Sunday morning, there's no bus service coming up our way. And that has turned away so many members. Even current members, when their cars go out of service, they hardly come to church. And we've been promised when the politicians come campaigning, that's what we put in front of, oh, we'll fix it. And we're still waiting. And the other problem we have is youthful indiscretion. The teenagers, perhaps some of them are not even teenagers, but we have such an open space, and we come from the new single-family homes that have been built at the back of the NASA Credit Union, all the way down to where the Shell gas station is. Part of our property borders on that land. And it is unimaginable what teenagers do. One of our great losses come from, we have outside outlets, and so they just come with their cell phones, their laptops, their music systems, put on their earmuffs and just comfortably burning our energy while enjoying themselves. What can you do? And then you have the bigger challenge of weekends when we finished using the building and we're gone, and it is left to the mercy of them. They do any. When we come in on Sunday morning, I'm still waiting for somebody, as cold as it is, to wake up from the benches. And you look at him and ask, why are you sleeping on this bench? Oh, because it was comfortable, but I have my comforter, so I wasn't bothering anybody. Duh, that's the church space. And what can you do? But then again, also you see homelessness. But when they start tottering and staggering to get up, you realize there's another part to this. And then my greatest worry always is my fellow seniors. Homelessness is a big challenge. On an evening like this, if I had been up at church, you must see old folks coming with their cart. Sorry, ma'am. Coming with their cart looking for somewhere to sleep. We have artificial carpets in front of the double door entrance to the church, and it's plush and soft. And you come some mornings, you find somebody huddled up against it, snoring away merrily. That's about 10 o'clock in the morning, but you don't want to wake them up because perhaps the time they settled down and started sleeping, it wasn't fine to the night. So what do? Nothing. But I am glad to be a part of Greenbelt. COVID took away 15 of our members, and we've not been able to replace them, primarily because it meant their jobs, and it meant adults, children taking their mothers, mostly mothers, out of the area, either relocating them or getting them into senior assisted living. So we're still to make up for those numbers, and of course, the resulting financial loss for you. It's not to us, I don't know. thank you for letting me share my concerns.
About how many parishioners do you have, and when do you meet?
We meet Sunday morning at 11, and we have functional members 30. But out of those 30, 25 of them work on Sundays, and you can catch them on your Zoom because they're forever. You see them, add the numbers over there. And also that we have out of state members as well. But Zoom has been good, but yet not good. But it's a blessing to have it so you can walk through it. And unfortunately, few of us only live in this green belt land and we come from far. But that is our home and we love it. It's a little, small, fine church and it's family oriented. And unfortunately, we've lost our seniors. So now I have very few. But we're having little toddlers growing up. And that's a blessing.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Jordan. Thank you, councillors, and my colleague Gila members.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Trudy Conrad from the Catholic Community of Greenbelt. We're lay-led. We get 25 to 30 people on a Sunday. Sometimes there's been times we had more people on Zoom than we did in the room, but depending on the weather. So should I say, Gila, I'm a member of Gila, and we do a Thanksgiving service every year, interfaith Thanksgiving service that goes from church to church or synagogue to church. And the Christians among us are working on a sunrise service, which is at the lake, 7 o'clock in the morning, if anyone's up that and wants to come over. My people do outreach on their own, kind of. We, although if Mary needs money for somebody, she'll email me and we can usually come up with some money. So, but that's where we're at.
Hi, Jim Fisher from the Greenbelt Baha'i community. We have about a dozen people, and that's not bigger or smaller. It's about constant. We meet in our homes, and our philosophy is very welcoming to all religious communities, and so over the last 45 years, I've been involved with a clergy association, but we don't have clergy, so we renamed it the Interfaith Leadership Association, and that organization has, during COVID, grown. And what I feel from the growth, I mean, it was functional growth, that how can we help people during COVID? But it's now like a little magnet because it attracts people because it's like a group of activists in a sense. And like we met with city manager at our last meeting. Maybe we're meeting with the mayor at our next meeting. You shown interest, and the agenda has grown, and that's it. That welcoming part is that modeling. We used to do, the Gila used to do the baccalaureate celebration at the high school, and we saw it as modeling interfaith cooperation to the next generation. That had to end because of some policy change at the high school, but that's still the way I see the Gila group.
Hi, my name is Joe Parks. I'm a member of the Soka Gakkai International. We're also a lay organization, and we have about 15 members in Old Greenbelt and about 50 in Prince George's County. We're 192 countries, 6 million people. Our movement is a movement, we call it a movement of human revolution, which is to revolutionize one's life in response to what's happening in your life and in the world. We have 2 meetings a month in Old Greenbelt, and we get together and study basic principles of Buddhism, but essentially we get together as friends, and we support each other as friends, and we have no clergy, and we are just determined to bring about a Buddha land in the world. And of course, I believe Greenbelt is the first place that will be determined a Buddha land. Thank you.
Thank you. About your activities, I know that you also do this amazing chant, this repetitive phrase that is about bringing out the best in you, and to face the challenges. So it's very uplifting and very transformative. Thank you. Hello, my name is Farinaz Firuzi. I'm part of the Baha'i community of Greenbelt. As you know, we're 12 people or so, and that's been our challenge because we don't have many, we don't have. Do we have children in the community? We have like a half a child who lives half time in Greenbelt and half time elsewhere. And so one thing that we learned, and because of this challenge, is when you get involved in groups around Greenbelt that don't have to do with religion necessarily, but if you get involved in other efforts, then you get to learn what are the challenges that are facing the population that you serve. Because we really, all of us see all of Greenbelt as our population that we serve, right? Regardless of what they believe. So we find that through participating in things like the Gila or the Connecting Across Greenbelt, we meet people who want to collaborate with us in the activities that we have to offer, such as these community building activities. Tonight, I was having dinner with Nirvan and Lucy, who are in the Connecting Across Greenbelt, and Maya, who's the half child. And Maya wants to get involved with Lucy and Nirvan and I in our junior youth spiritual empowerment program activity that we've started practicing in Hyattsville. But really, Lucy said tonight she really envisions starting it not in central Greenbelt, but in Franklin Park, but starting it at the Beltway Plaza so that Greenbelt Middle School students can participate. She wants to use this space in Greenbelt, in the Beltway Plaza. So this is like an example of how something that you think how it should grow really catches fire or grows on its own based on who you involve. And that's what my learning has been from this, and also our community is really not the resources that we bring, but the interactions that we're having with people and their ideas and their insights. So another thing that we have going are the devotional gatherings that we have in Greenbelt, small, but also we have a challenge to share what's happening with others so they can participate too. It's the idea that regardless of what your faith or belief is, wherever you normally worship, in addition, you can gather as a one community in a space that includes everyone, and you see each other's beliefs or shared insights as equally valid and something to appreciate about each other. So I think I'm going too far in talking, but I just wanted to share these two things. Also with the race, I don't know if there's going to be anything, if we're going to have more opportunities to talk tonight, or okay, then I'll let it go. Thank you.
Marianne Tretler from St. Hugh of Grenoble Catholic Church. We have about 300 families. We have daily mass and then meet Saturday evening and on Sunday, 3 masses. We've really come a long way since the pandemic. Most people are back now and feeling comfortable being back in the community setting. It's just so important to be back together again, because that's part of our faith and all is community. And we're seeing a lot more families. We have a youth group trying to get that kind of going again and getting more children involved in the youth group activities. And we truly appreciate the support from the city, because I don't know where we would be if we didn't have the support as far as our food pantry, because we're serving like 50 to 60 families a week. And it's been very helpful getting the funding for grocery store cards to help supplement the non-perishable food, as well as Robert's Ruat Group with Porch and collecting in the community food every month. But you know, we're just, and we've actually this year been able to get back to events that we've had for many years, like Oktoberfest, those kinds of things that we had always done, but then COVID came and that all kind of ended. So those things are really restarting back again. So just, you know, hoping to keep going forward with that renewed energy.
Good evening, council members. I'm pleased to meet with you. Imam Taslim Al-Ghali from the Sierra Leone Muslim Jama. I do not live in Greenbelt. My masjid, my mosque, is not in Greenbelt, but I love the city of Greenbelt. And that's why I am a member of the Gila Interfaith Leadership Association. And my salute to Rabbi Saul, Jim, Trudy. These are wonderful people who have been with over the years. And I just, you know, like grow to love them each and every day. So I have a community. We, you know, in our religion, Islam, we pray 5 times a day. And we have tried to get the community to be in the masjid 5 times or 5 days of the 7 days of the week. And that's a big deal. Sometimes even getting them to be there like 3 o'clock in the morning. Because sometimes we do prayers that will start at that time. So it's a thriving community, I will say. And when we are together, we kind of discuss much of what could be of great progress to the community at large. And I obviously mention the good works that is being done here in Greenbelt. We have school-going children as young as 6, 7, who goes on weekends for classes, you know, when they come from the regular school, the secular education, we want to give them the Islamic education. So we have them there on the weekends for 4 hours and 11 up to 12, 1, 2 o'clock. And of course, we entertain them. Yes, they love it. And sometimes we organize games for them, you know, just to keep them happy. And I guess that takes them out of trouble because we are also doing mentoring, a lot of it. And because we believe at the young and tender age, that's where you need to start it going, telling them about the values of life, how to live, coexist, just be respectful. I mean, even from your home and to others who are not your biological parents. We, of course, give them those studies. And we've seen some of them grow to being young, fine adults. And we also tell them, of course, to put great value in their education. Has been mostly immigrants from Africa. We want to instill in them the value of making it here in these United States, like we will say, live the American dream. And so most of the things that, you know, youth delinquencies that we will have, we try to get a step ahead to tell them that this is not your path. You have to focus to know, because one thing with us, we just don't live here. Of course, a good percentage of them are born here, but we also want to let them know that they have ancestral background where you can connect to that. So of course, some of the parents will want to take them back home to just see and realize that it is not just this life that is the life of the world. You can live here and be comfortable, but then just look around you or just go beyond the borders and you will see how real life is for some people. So I will say we have so many programs that we engage in. Of course, we struggle with stuff. And I will say at this point, since I love the city of Greenbelt, if there's any help that is coming from the city of Greenbelt, we'll gladly welcome and appreciate. And I know Reverend Gloria Klein Smith is going to give me 100% thumbs up for that, because she's my mentor and she brought me into Gila, as a matter of fact. And so meeting with you once again, council members, I appreciate you meeting with us, and of course looking forward to a great partnership and collaboration of any kind with you. And I want to thank you for having me, and sorry for my voice.
Welcome.
Good evening. Stephen Unthank from Greenbelt Baptist Church, the pastor there. Greenbelt Baptist Church has been a part of the city of Greenbelt since 1958, and I've only been there for the last 9 years. But glad to be there. Small but growing church. We're about 100 members, and then 50 more or so on any given Sunday visiting. 2 services, one in the morning, Sunday morning, Sunday evening, mainly devoted to the exposition of the scriptures and singing and praying and gathering and fellowshipping. A number of new young families with a gaggle of giggles of kids running everywhere. So we're thinking through playgrounds and things like that for the church, which we're excited about. And we're glad to be here. We pray for the city council just about once a month from our pulpit, and we're grateful for you all.
Rabbi Saul Oreski from Mishkan Torah, representing a congregation of about 120 on a good day, and of all ages. We have Sabbath services Friday night and Saturday morning, and a range of activities various times throughout the week. We've been grateful for the support that Greenbelt has provided us in terms of the ability to have some extra security, which is unfortunately a very strong need these days. We live in an increasingly dangerous world for everybody, but certainly more so for certain communities. We're hoping to not only keep going, but to increase the congregation. We would like to do more outreach, and I think we're working in the direction of putting together more activities that'll broaden the congregation a bit. But I think as we are doing right now, is good. We have a small religious school, a small teen group, but people are very involved in the community. The people who are part of the community always talk about how much they get from it, being an essential part of their lives. So, thank you.
Hey, County Council and everyone here. Thanks for this forum. My name is Kevin Wright. I'm the lead campus pastor at Zion Church, located right outside of Greenbelt, or Lanham, Maryland, right on Cipriano Road and Greenbelt Road. We have about 4 services a Sunday, 8 a.m., 9:45, 11:30, and starting this particular Sunday, 1:30. We serve about 3,500 members a Sunday. Right now, from 18-month-old all the way up to adults, of course. We have a pretty right around 300 kids every Sunday. then another 100 to 150 youth every Sunday, and then about 2,800 members every Sunday. So appreciate this time, appreciate this forum. As it relates to COVID, one of the biggest things coming out of COVID when we were having church remotely or virtually or Zoom church, one of the biggest things we wanted to impress upon our volunteers, our members, our staff was to make sure folks, because of the isolation, we wanted to make sure folks felt seen, heard, and loved. That was the biggest thing coming out of COVID. I think the devil worked really, he works well in isolation, thinking that you're the only one going through a particular thing. So coming back and letting folks talk, letting folks be heard, letting folks be seen, and making sure we love on the people. One of the things we do, we have partnerships with Duval High School and Thomas Johnson and Gaywood Elementary, Greenbelt Elementary. We are able to pass out PPE, what do you call it? PPE items during COVID and after COVID. We partner with the Capital Area Food Network to make sure we were able to pass out non-perishable items. So have a great relationship with Duval High School, the community over there. So we continue to grow that with the elementary schools and the middle schools, and looking forward to partnering with everybody here to continue to grow. We just literally a couple of weeks ago working with the Hindu temple right down the street from us. They have helped us secure additional parking. So we're excited about that, and just continue to be a contributor to the city of Greenbelt.
Well, thank you so much. It's really, really interesting hearing from each of you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Reverend Frederick Coker. I work closely with Reverend Gloria Klein Smythe at the Good Samaritan Lutheran Church, not too far from here in Greenbelt. I've been with her for about some 7 to 8 years now, and I work humbly with her. Let me just leave it at that. Nice to meet you all. I'm sorry, very sorry. I sat right in front of you. I was just trying to find myself to settle down a little. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, thank you. So very, very interesting listening to each one of you talk about your congregations or your organizations. So, Greenbelt, 25,000 people, and the strength of Greenbelt truly is diverse people working together in a spirit of cooperation, which is our community pledge. So, religious diversity is something that's deeply ingrained in the city of Greenbelt. When the city was founded back in 1937, although it was not racially integrated, there was an effort to make sure that it was religiously diverse. Large churches, small churches, folks meeting together on a regular basis, it's really the lifeblood of so many initiatives in a place like Greenbelt. So being able to sit and talk and work together and understand one another's needs is very important. So, the city, we're nonpartisan, and we there's a separation between church and state, but really, I mean, we're all people. So that line is moves around a little bit sometimes, especially when it comes to problems, challenges that we're all facing, and communication. So, in these times that we're living through right now, we had our police chief had a public safety forum last night, and he was talking about some of the things that are going on, not just in Greenbelt, not just in Prince George's County, but throughout the DMV, the entire country for that matter. And the reason why I started off and said something about COVID is because some things are just very, very different now than they may have been 3 years ago. Also, just in terms, my perception, what I've heard is there have been surveys or studies done, and people are perhaps observing their spirituality in different ways. So that shift in some churches, some entities, to more and more virtual kinds of situations, which can either be very, very large or one-on-one, that's something that is having an impact on the churches in Greenbelt as all over as well. So, Pastor Wright, you've got a very, very large congregation, and the Church Zion, that's just one of 4 or 5 different campuses. Right. So you've got 5 or 6 different virtual services going on, and people from all over. Yeah. That's one model, and the opposite of that in some ways is small 10 or 12 people meeting together in a very focused way and just being really engaged and trying to have an impact, on these larger problems. So the city, we're dealing with the same challenges around public safety, public health, and just being able to really communicate effectively. So I wanted to kind of ask about communication and how can we better communicate some of the services that we have in the city of Greenbelt. Greenbelt Cares, that's our small social service organization, and a part of that, Greenbelt Assistance and Living, which is focused on seniors, and the recreation department. We have a lot of programs, but sometimes I feel like the word doesn't really get out. And of course, these religious entities, but there are other ways there are non-secular ways of expressing spirituality, and there's a pretty substantial number of people that are like that. So I'm wondering how can we do a better job communicating the resources that the city has, and how can we perhaps support what you're doing just in terms of outreach? How do you communicate with your members? And anybody is free to respond to that.
Ladies first. Oh, I thought I saw you raise your hand. I'm sorry. Oh, the gentleman. Okay. All right. One of the biggest things, Mayor, we would like to know is more events in old Greenbelt and new Greenbelt, just so we could partner and help from an outreach perspective. That's one of our biggest things, is making sure that we help as much as many as we can. And once again, it doesn't matter like you said, secular, or it doesn't matter the nationality. It doesn't matter any of that. It just, we want to, once again, not just be a consumer of Greenbelt, but a contributor as well. So if there was some type of email, I guess there may be one that goes out that my team and I could be added to so we can have our outreach team, outreach ministry go out there and make sure that we can contribute in some way. That'll be great. That'll be good for us.
Well, they say, every to a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And so I've tried not to be, and I would rather stay in a more of a religious frame of mind, but I'm thinking technology, improving our technology infrastructure so that everyone could have easy access to the notifications and to providing feedback. And I'll be happy to help with that. Thank you.
And I have to tell you, I was asking that from sort of a selfish perspective because, for the city, we hold work sessions and meetings. We try and share a lot of information. And what we found is coming through COVID, having to shift to Zoom primarily, we've got more eyes, more people engaging online than ever before. And that's an effective way to reach out. But we do want to build our communication means by communicating with each of you, your entities, to try and share information about the resources that the city has, and it's something that's very important to us. We've talked about it quite a bit.
Well, St. Hugh has a really great email. It's e-bulletin, and that provides a whole lot of information. And oftentimes when I've seen something that we have at Gila that we want to, I provide that information to Jennifer Golds, who's our communication person. She's also our music director, but she puts it onto the e-bulletin, and people can find out about that. But then the office is open Monday through, is it 5 days a week? Is it? Yeah, and except for holidays, and people call and ask for services. That's how most of the people come through for your food pantry, isn't it? And so they're very involved that way. We have a lot of ministries, and people are involved with that. I got involved with Gila because I was interested in Greenbelt being a sanctuary city, and Marianne said, "Why don't I go to Gila and work on that?" Which is what I did, and I never left. So you could never send me to do something. But I've been very involved and really love what we're doing, and I think that we've partnered with the city. Gila has partnered with the city a great deal. We work with Liz and CARES all the time. We've invited, Josue Salamaran to come and find out about us, and that's what some of the other things that we've done that have connected to the city, to people getting services. We raise money, of course, for the Gila, for the emergency assistance and for the food pantry.
A long time ago, years ago, we collected blankets for the Muslims. There was a earthquake in Turkey or someplace, and we collected blankets. I'm wondering. I mean, do you get the news review? Because there's always sometimes volunteer opportunities there. Either working at the food produce thing, the third Thursday of the month, or Robert, how about Franklin Park? Is there a way that they could help with Franklin Park? Here.
I just want to jump on. There's a way to get it around Franklin Park. They've got their own monthly newsletter there that they e-blasted. But I want to add to that, just this week, the activity guide just came out. Are you familiar with the activity guide? That's what I'm talking about. Look at all the programs, the recreational programs, educational programs, children and adults, all generations there. And it just came out, and it's like no other city with the programs that are offered here. That's what makes Greenbelt special. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. If you're not on the list already, contact the city and Chandria Andrews.
Yes, Chandria Andrews is
Chandria Andrews, she's the
information.
public information officer here, and she e-blasted to at least 14,000 people, or households, I'll say, right? Get on that list, and you'll learn a lot.
And that's why I asked the question, because we want to build that list. Please go ahead.
Yes, I was just gonna take you up on that because, Mr. Mayor, I guess the essence of communication is for outreach. You want to reach as many people to know what the city can offer. And like I just said in my last statement, what expectations in terms of help I'll be looking for from the city of Greenbelt and your council office. I'm in PG County, right, where we live. We have the Prince George's County Muslim Council, PGCMC. And if you you can call it a conglomerate of most organizations, masjids, and that's in essence will be like the number of the Zion Methodist Church are like 3,000 people or more. So if we can have a link with just that organization where I am a member, and obviously we do bulletins, we have our own website, and there's a way we can, that communication or the things that the City of Greenbelt is doing and the office can trickle down to all of those members scattered around. So like you said, it's just to foster the kind of relationship now. I would say this is a new beginning. I think so. It's a new beginning for us to have the ambassador. You can appoint an ambassador to say, you are the ambassador from Prince George's County, and you just ask and then you get it. Yeah.
Very good. The Prince George's County Muslim Association, their offices down there on Lanham Severn Road near,
That's right.
Near 450, I guess, right there. And your Majid, is it there as
It's
well?
at Landover 202.
On 202,
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So many of the entities here and many religious organizations are subsets of larger organizations. And so being able to kind of interact with those larger organizations when appropriate is very important. For example, I know that some of the, there's a couple of churches in the area that have struggled coming through COVID. And, they have good-sized facilities, but, just the membership is really, really down. But they do not necessarily manage their own affairs. Maybe it's the larger organization that controls some of the resources. So it's important for the city to understand these things so that when there is a situation that comes up, perhaps the city can be of some assistance, because religious institutions and organizations are very, very important. And although there's a separation between church and state, we want to be informed just in terms of how you all are doing individually, and if something comes up that we can help with or just know about, sometimes we can be of help. I don't want to sound too cryptic, but it's true. Yes, please.
I may want to ask, what are the practical ways we can seek that help? Like, what do we do? Like you said, when something comes up, how do we get that something coming up that could be of benefit to our organizations, our Jamaat and the like?
Well, we need to just communicate. So one of the reasons why we're holding this work session is to try and update the information. I was talking with a few of the members of Gila recently because I know that there's a number of small churches that are thriving and they're doing well, and they're actually meeting in city facilities, in the community center, at the middle school, over at Spring Hill Lake Recreation Center, and we want to have those relationships. So we would like to actually work with Gila to build up our mailing list, our contact list, so that the city has a better sense of who is trying to do things in the city, what sort of things they're trying to do, and where those intersections come, just in terms of services to young people or to older people, or programs that we can partner on, food distributions, or just really helping people that are in difficult situations. Someone that's displaced with a medical situation, we can help sometimes. Sometimes we can't. Sometimes we can. Some other comments, and I don't mean to dominate the situation. Council members, please jump in if you have questions or if you want to speak.
Didn't the city give Mary's food pantry? Didn't the city give Mary's food pantry?
Yeah,
money?
yeah, we've been supporting through COVID with our American Rescue Plan funding. We've been helping with the food pantry at St. Hugh's. And there's another church over on Good Luck Road, Trinity. They've got a strong food pantry. They do distributions. And the city itself is doing at least 2 food distributions each month, one here in City Center and the other in Franklin Park. We had work session with Franklin Park. I don't know if you know that, but know this, but Franklin Park is the largest garden-style apartment development east of the Mississippi River. And there are nearly, was it 10,000 people who live in?
Yeah, almost 2,900 apartments.
2,900 apartments.
It's 28, so
Mhm.
it's almost 2,900.
Right. So, and it's a very diverse community. Some people are quite challenged. Others are, it's right next to the metro station, so it's very convenient. So sometimes being able to communicate with apartment dwellers is something that's a challenge for the city. But those same individuals are attending church services and whatnot. So that the communication piece is so important, knowing what sort of outreach you guys are trying to do and trying to figure out where the intersections are. And that's why Greenbelt Interfaith Leadership Association is so important. It's because you guys, you are an independent entity working and meeting on a monthly basis and talking about these important things. But I'd like to try and just strengthen that relationship and the bonds between what the city is doing. And I mean, the bond is strong, but I want to do everything I can. Yeah, Amy or Danielle.
While we're talking about communication, I would just like to put in a plug for everyone online and everyone here to please go to greenbeltmd.gov. And one of the very first things on there is notifications sign up. So everyone, every stakeholder, I think, should definitely be doing their best to sign up for that, because that will provide you, I practically get daily emails, and it's things that your parishioners or your congregants might be very interested in. It can help you build those lists of services that we have and events that are coming up. And likewise, council can always be reached at council@greenbeltmd.gov. And I know that Mayor Jordan was talking about rebuilding any lists that we might have, but just to make sure that we have your information and you have our information, I just wanted to get that on the record. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Amy Niesel. I'm the newest council member.
I was going to also add about some of the services and the activities, especially for youth in the community. Robert was mentioning, obviously, the recreation guide that has just come out, but there's so many different activities that come through our Department of Recreation. For example, there's the Earn to Learn, which is Learn to Earn, which is workforce development, which is aimed at our high school kids. And it's just a really great opportunity for them to get work experience and actually get money while they're working to do that. So take a look at the website and learn about that. I also want to put a plug in for some of our advisory boards and committees. That's one way that you and your parishioners can get involved. I'm going to put a specific plug out there for the Youth Advisory Committee, especially if you have younger youth. It is open to kids under the age of 18 to get involved, and it's one way that they can connect and learn and figure out all the ways that city government runs and municipalities run. So just a really great opportunity there.
Thank you. I wanted to actually ask about the website, the Greenbelt, Maryland's beautiful website. I noticed that there are these great, like you can go to a section to learn about the animal shelter, about facilities and parks, about the aquatic fitness and recreation activities. Could you add a circle for religious activities or organizations, and then list all these different websites, links that people have? And then, or you could have a section where you could just provide the contact information that includes their websites. And then, and also under, like, if people are looking for a certain kind of service, if they're looking for something, like if they need shelter or food or whatever, where would they go on your website to find that in Greenbelt?
You would go to Greenbelt Cares, our social service.
Would I know
they're
that? Or
well, the website's is a beautiful website. It needs to be redone. So, because they're actually, there's a page on there which lists religious organizations. So we need to update that. And we're working to try and improve the site, but there's just so many things on there that it's hard to make everything so that it's at least 2 or 3 clicks down. And so we're actually working on updating and improving the website. But our social services department, Greenbelt Cares.
That's fantastic. And also that there's 3 different kinds of calendars. I always get confused by these so I was wondering if because I went to community events expecting to see all the community activities that happen in Greenbelt. So I could go to where they're doing free handouts of stuff for children, that he might want to bring his parishioners to help with, or something where the food pantry day is, or everything that happens in Greenbelt, whoever's responsible for it is responsible to update on the calendar. If it was like a SharePoint calendar, then am I imagining something impossible? But it might be something if other people are have some kind of access to update just that piece. It would be less work on the city to update, but everyone can communicate. Or you could have a separate space on Google where it's Greenbelt's unofficial SharePoint calendar, Google Calendar, and everybody has access to it. And you can even add it as a calendar to your phone or your computer. And then you'll always know when the, SGI is having their meeting, or, when Gila's meeting at 11 o'clock, when people who are still working cannot attend. No, but it's just we need a place where we can see what everyone has to offer so that we can participate in them and give that to the people we're outreaching to, because they're going to want to know, well, what do I come to? Because you only just met me at my door, or you only are talking to me at your kiosk or whatever. So.
Well, here. Those are excellent suggestions. It's a two-way street. We want to know the same thing from you. We want to be able to direct people to your websites. And when we are doing a volunteer project, the kind of thing that a young person could get community service credit for, we want to make sure that the word gets out so that folks know that on President's Day or this Saturday, we have a volunteer program come up this Saturday, President's Day, ML King Day, or one of the other community service days that's available. Unfortunately, there's just so many things going on. You can't really put it on one calendar. I wish we could. But the SharePoint thing is something that we're working on. Yes, please.
Thank you. There was a time when we saw an influx of refugees.
Yes.
But somehow I don't see them at bus stops anymore. And those who used to come knocking at church asking for help no longer come. I'm wondering what has the city of Greenbelt done to either integrate them into our community down here, or you have a special program that is situating them?
We have a group of individuals that have been working to try and help displaced immigrants from the Ukraine in particular. I have to tell you, Lutheran Social Services has probably one of the best immigrant outreach programs in the DMV, and their headquarters are right here in Greenbelt, back in Greenway Center. So we're trying to actually build our relationship with them. There's some things the city does well. There's some things that nonprofit organizations do well. And there's some things that religious entities do very, very well. So somehow we got to all work together to make that happen. Council members, other questions or thoughts you want to share with these religious leaders?
I'm just wondering if, because we're talking about Franklin Park, and I know there are a lot of people, because I work in Franklin Park. So there's, all my children always telling me they're going to churches. So I'm wondering what churches are they going to, and have we ever tried to maybe reach out and find out, and maybe even, invite some of those church leaders, also to our meetings. So I don't know if you have any experience of that, or if you have any information on that, but I think we should definitely take a look at that and have some outreach to those churches and invite those because it's a large community. It's almost, like we said, 2,900 apartments, and you can just imagine how many people are living there. So I think that type of outreach and outreach to the youth at Franklin Park, I think it's very important. That might be something to explore. That would be my interest.
I have a thought about that, about religious organizations. And I think that many people, when they're growing up, they may be baptized, or they may come into a religious tradition, and they become very comfortable with that. So I think that many people that still live in the general area may still go to that church that they grew up with. So times change. Maybe they're living in Silver Spring. Heck, maybe they're living over in Fairfax County. I've had some conversations with people that attend the Hindu temple, and that large, I mean, there's two very large Hindu temples, and one of them was one of the first large Hindu temples in the region. So people still come there who live over in Fairfax County, and they come during particular times of year because the temples have a specific focus. So how, just in terms of your congregations, your gatherings, how many of the folks are from Greenbelt, and how many are people that just used to live here or used to live close to here, but are still coming because of that affinity with the Jewish temples? There are very, very few in Prince George's County, which is odd for a county this size, with a county of nearly 1 million people. So there are deep family ties, and people continue to come, even though they may move, and maybe they're living up in Baltimore or something. Yeah.
Thank you. I don't know if other people have found the same trend, but the younger generation tends to not to be joiners of anything, let alone churches and synagogues and mosques, etc. They tend to just have most of their social contact on the phone or through more extemporaneous person, in face-to-face meetings, but not organizations. So I wish it was the case that we had a tremendous number of legacy people in our congregation, people who grew up, but the reality is many, many people who grew up in the congregation, if they're a member any place, it's no longer in the area. I would love to figure out how to get the next generation much more involved, because I think the people who do become involved in organizations of all sort really quickly learn that they get a lot out of it. So
we've purposely, because everything's connected and everything's online and everything is all the time information, all the time in your face, have purposely not done Zoom church, and have prioritized and kind of kept sacred, if you will, face-to-face meeting. And I think by God's grace, we've grown through that. And I think that's one of the answers to what you're bringing up. Younger generations are easily drawn into online things, and I think they are longing for more incarnated person-to-person relationships. And young people are going to be attracted to anything I think that is different, unique. And so whether that's synagogue or a Baptist church or Baha'i, if it's something that is personal and unique, they're gonna join that. And in terms of Franklin Park, we have not few members from Franklin Park, and yeah, it's a joy to go and visit there. And I find it quite easy to just go and talk and invite people, and anybody's willing to visit, and they may not come back, but yeah, it's a great area to just go introduce yourself and say, hey, we're a church right down the street. You can come join us at any moment.
And piggyback off of Pastor Stephen and my friend here, what we're doing to attract the youth is giving them their own. So what I mean by that is this upcoming, April 5th through the 7th, they're having their own retreat. Like we're just, to get them away from technology and to let them have kumbaya, if you will, all together. Our youth pastor has this retreat planned for someplace south of Chesapeake Bay. I believe it's North Bay, Maryland, or North something Maryland. North Beach, yes, thank you. And we are looking. I think we're right around our number. We wanted to hit about 300 kids. So, and most of our kids, we have several that go to Roosevelt, several that go to Duval. Of course, they live in other parts of the Prince George's County too. So they're at Wise and other Flowers and stuff, if you will. But that's been our thing, is to give them their own thing that they can claim as their own and can grow as their own, and that then they hold each other accountable, and then they bring other people, then they bring other youth of their ilk and their age and stuff like that. And it's pretty cool to be a Christian. It's pretty cool to be a Muslim. It's pretty cool to be, whatever religion, because they're attracting their own. So we find that to be a really good incentivized thing to make sure that they have their own. When they feel like they're not with mom and dad and stuff like that, it changes the whole atmosphere for them. It changed the whole atmosphere. So 300 youth going down to North Bay to hear about God and to fellowship and to gather and to kind of put the cell phones away. I can't promise you that, but kind of put the cell phones away. That's what our youth pastor is stressing in this day and age.
Zoom was a wonderful blessing, especially at the time of COVID, because when we were not meeting in person, we were just like wondering, how do we get the messages out? How do we get our members to still know that they still have to pray to God? They still have to worship. And we did our best with that. But oftentimes, and it is true, it will still remain true, one thing that's because we kind of instill the value of family. And for the youths that, even those born here, those that we come with here, one thing they actually know well is how their mothers can cook. And unfortunately, you can't get food through Zoom. So we tell them, we have all of these activities, right? We need you to come to the masjid. We'll give you all of the entertainment, and your mothers are bringing food. And they say, wow, is that so? I say, yes. So, that's the motivating part of it. And obviously, as my brother just said, we also have their own activities. They plan themselves. Tell us, what do you want to do? We'll just give you the support. So youth groups, activities planned around them is their way to go. And so just feeling that sense of belonging. Because, guess what? If you want to parent them at that time there, no, it's not going to work. Because, we will be respectful, but please let us be. So yes, as long as we know that what they are doing is not too way out of line, then they are not being like monitored in the sense of a parent looking over them all the time. They are well, they are good. but especially the food part. Don't forget that. That's what the attraction is. They love their mother's food, and their mothers bring their food to the mosque. Yeah.
Thank you. Locally, in the SGI, well, actually nationally, we're having youth festivals in March. And here we'll have our youth festival at our community center, which is over across from Prince George's Plaza. Thank you, Mayor. And our sense is that youth are naturally idealistic. You know, they really want to see change. And so we support the youth to help them to believe that change that they can create in their own lives will lead to a change in the world. And I have one example of this young man. He's a young man now. He was just a little boy when someone dragged him to his first meeting. He didn't really want to go. And so I understood he was hungry. So after the meeting, we went out for pizza. Now, this has gone on for 7 years. Now he's the mascot at Roosevelt High School, and he's planning to bring 10 young people to our youth festival in the center. And so, yes, let's all support the youth. They're just dying for the attention and the support and food.
Thank you. Other comments?
Just one that I wanted to shout out to Joy Alton, who's in the room tonight, because I constantly hear evidences of what she does. I like tonight, the 15-year-old. I was like, why are you like? How did you get involved with this? Like, how come you're so interested in working with the middle schoolers and everything? Why are you so involved in the Baha'i faith? Like your parents, like they're not like what happened? And she's like, well, my mom got interested in the Baha'i faith, and she was like taking me to stuff, and then she got less interested, and then Miss Joy Alchin took me, like she would come pick me up and take me over, and she would take me, if there was a children's class, she would take me there, and if there was a junior youth activity, she would take me there. So like just that one-on-one, some taking care of people, being there for them. And this child is just a remarkable human being. Like she lights up the whole room, like, and she has so much, she can express herself very well. She can, she's a leader. You don't think she's 15, you think she's like 30. So I feel like, and the nature of these activities that she was participating in is not that they fill her with information, but that they help her develop, polish her own gems. So like, if we are going to make a difference in this world, we have to move away from the old form of like, oh, there's someone who doesn't know, and we have to fill them with the knowledge, We have to allow for, like, we have to discover the pearls in each person, or let them fish them out, give them resources or give them rides, and then they can find out for themselves in the process. You share with them the Quran or I want to say Injil, the Bible, and the Talmud, or the teachings of the Buddha, and gradually you help them, you provide them with the space to come to know and to see how to apply it. So I wanted to thank Joy for like the numerous ways that I this other family that we're working with in Hyattsville, like they're also very, very they're driving, they're a driving force. It's not that they're waiting for other people to serve them with their religion or whatever. If they take ownership in their own community of their community's destiny, like whether it's material or spiritual, whatever, then I feel like you're helping a lot more people than just the few people in your own community.
Thank you. Very well said.
Sorry, no, well, not sorry, but and I love what everybody said, and also just letting them know that they're loved. I know that seems to be the common theme for at least what I keep saying, but when the young lady, the 16-year-old that unfortunately got shot at Duval High School, right? We did that funeral, right? I was the officiant for that funeral. And the day that I received the phone call from the principal, I called the principal and they were still at the hospital. So letting them know that they're loved, I think is huge. Food is awesome, and letting them chart their path and give them the tools, and that's great. And retreats are great, but I honestly think, going back to what she was saying earlier about the issues she had with them plugging in and to using their electricity and all that other stuff, right? They're they, I don't know, we all know it starts at home, but home is sometimes messed up too. So us here in this circle, even though we don't get 8 to 16 hours a day with them, the 1 hour or the 4 hours that we get with them to let them know that they're loved. I mean, the day that I called the principal, I was there at the hospital, right? There was nothing I could do. But what we call it at our church is just the ministry of presence. We're just there. There's no words, there's no cliches, there's no Bible scriptures, there's no Quran, there's nothing that can help you when you lose your 16-year-old child. It's not the natural order of things for a parent to bury their child. So just letting them know they're loved. And then the next day, being at the school for counseling sessions. I didn't have to, I just sat there and just listened. I think just being there and just listening to them helps them chart their own way and gives them the tools that they need to become what did you say, good adults, right? Great adults, contributing adults. And us here in this circle, if we can continue to just listen to them and then love on them, I think then they'll be more receptive to hearing what we have to say afterwards. One thing in the Bible, and I'll close with this. I got a funeral to preach tomorrow, so I got to go. Jesus didn't feed the 5,000 until he fed them. So I love what my brother said here. Food is a huge attraction to youth, whether we're passing out Dunkin' Donut gift cards or Chipotle gift cards. Oh, well, that mosque gave me that, or that church gave me that, or that organization gave me that. It lands in their psyche. It lands in their head, and then they pass the word on to them. So I think food is a great indicator. Then they will start to listen. They will start to listen, loving on them and just letting them know that we hear you. Now here is a little bit of our of what we believe and what we believe.
That's powerful. You read my mind a little bit. I was going to ask about how each of your congregations, how do you deal with people that are in very difficult situations or palliative care? I was going to ask that maybe, and also I was going to ask what can the city do to be more supportive? What do you need from the city? And the third thing that I wanted to just say is, there are many people that are very spiritual, but they express it. Everybody expresses it in different ways. So there are many Greenbelters that are not quote unquote religious, but they are spiritual, and that's a very real thing. And they're not necessarily in the room. But how do you balance your congregation with the wider community? So just bouncing 3 questions out there. We'll take some questions from the public if there are any, and then we'll wrap up maybe in about 10 or 15 minutes. But I want to be respectful of your time. Anyone want to respond to any of those 3?
So one thing, like when you are a leader, right, you are in a position where you can advocate for other people. And sometimes in an organization, you want to let people know that, especially when you have your congregation coming to worship, it's not just that. You have to seek their welfare. Sometimes people will not ask, but then there's something going on at home. Something's not right. I mean, They don't have groceries. It's good that we have food they can come and eat, but then that's just for the day. You want to go like beyond that. It's like not giving the fish every day, right? But teaching the person how to fish so he can be able to fend for him or herself. So having the position where you can talk to the people to let them know that not all of us are the same here. Some of us are well to do. We are asked to give to the less fortunate. But then sometimes you really want to see that in practice. Actually give to the less fortunate, not just say give to the less fortunate. And some people won't give, right? So there was a program in terms of what you just asked, and we've been struggling with that because it's called the Welfare Subsidy Program, where every Friday of the week, where we have mostly a large congregation, we ask people to give donations. You know, we have two trustees that we look. That is a separate funding from what the masjid has in terms of utilities and all the rest of it. That's strictly for the welfare of people who will give like increments of maybe $10, $15 weekly. So that has been going on. And sometimes, you know, the funds are depleted because, especially when it was in COVID, it's hard to pick it up again. So we try to get that up and running again because, like I said earlier, you have some people who will not ask, but then you know that they are in need. They do need. And so it's us responsible for the others who are less fortunate. So we have that program. And obviously, if we don't know how it will be like, you maybe want to know more about the program, we can supply the details. You think you can cut a check sometime, that's fine. So, but then that's what we do for, you know, to at least get the worshippers to know that we feel for them. We want to know how bad it is in their lives and we want to help.
It just occurred to me that I should say something about the Greenbelt Emergency Assistance Fund because there's probably people here that don't know about it. And that is a plaudit to Greenbelt Cares because we have partnered, Gila has partnered now with Greenbelt Cares, the city of Greenbelt, to vet needs and to draw on this emergency assistance fund, which then Gila feels ownership of to try to keep it replenished. And so it's a trusted fund. During COVID, it raised and distributed $100,000. Some of it was from city, of course, some from community foundation, but 30,000 or so was from individuals, small contribution, 40,000. And so it's continuing. And there's this fund called the Good Samaritan Fund, which we're terminating and we're combining it with the Emergency Assistance Fund so that we will not continue to confuse people about why we have two funds.
Yeah, there's a link on the city's website to those two funds, and just at the council meeting on Monday, the Democratic Club made a donation towards the Emergency Assistance Fund. So, yeah, those are tax-deductible donations. Joe, go ahead, and then we'll take that. Yeah.
We support the youth primarily through listening. We get together and we pray, and in Buddhism that means the microcosm embracing the macrocosm. We chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and then through those sessions together, we become closer. And then we listen. And there's one young man in this community who was essentially homeless when I met him, carrying bags at the co-op. And he just purchased a home, and he's got a great job at NASA. And he's helping a lot of other young people. The repetition, listen, pray together, advance together.
Good evening. When I came back to Greenbelt many years ago, I was impressed to learn of Gila. When I returned to Greenbelt, I was impressed to learn of Gila and asked when it met and was told that it was simply a Greenbelt Interfaith Leadership Association. Laity was excluded from participation. I'm pleased to know that some laity are involved in Gila, but along the, and I don't know if each of the congregations here tonight are members of Gila. I would likely think so, but I don't know that. And along the lines of how important food is, mentioned by two of the participants, and as was said by, sir, I don't know if you're an imam or,
Yes,
as I said by the imam, you can't serve food over Zoom. There's been a long-standing suggestion to one of the Greenbelt advisory groups, the Community Relations Advisory Board, that periodically, with good weather, on the good lawn here in Greenbelt, between here and the school and the library, we should have an outdoor buffet where new residents of Greenbelt, whether they be simply migrating internally from elsewhere in the United States, but more particularly migrants, immigrants to the country and arriving in Greenbelt, be welcomed and be informed of all the potential for their living in or around Greenbelt, but have a sit-down meal where people from different backgrounds and different congregations and different religions and of different political inclinations can simply talk and meet each other and come to know one another. And while that's been suggested as a function for the city to do, it doesn't have to be exclusively a city function. I would love to think that Gila might like to involve itself in this periodic. Maybe it would be once a year, maybe it would be quarterly, seasonal, and maybe it could be built around the different religious traditions seasonally. But more importantly, it would be an opportunity to feed people and have people who don't know each other to come together and learn from each other. So I would hope that Gila might take that up, and I would love to come to that meeting when it's being discussed. Thank you.
That's an interesting idea. Yes, please.
What were your questions again? The first one was, how do you help people who reach out to you for financial or other help? Is that correct?
Yeah, well, and more broadly, people with health issue, palliative care. Just how do you help or how do you deal with people in a crisis situation? People who are a member of your entity specifically, but sometimes there are people that are not so active or not known to you, but they come to you for help.
So this is, I think this is falls under pastoral care, and so in our assembly, the governing body of the Baha'is in Greenbelt, obviously the city council is the governing body, but we elect the assembly, and the assembly consults on things, including if there is a need for someone, maybe like a few people volunteer to go and visit that person on a regular basis. We reach out to other people in the county or wherever who, like from Lanham or whatever, they'll be cooking and we'll take food over or whatever. It's very small, like grassrootsy. But I noticed that recently there's been like a lot of people who need help with funeral arrangements for their families, and they can't afford a lot of things, or they just can't go through it on their own. And it's happened so often that I think that maybe this might be a need that everyone is facing, that they could help get more help on, to help people with going through the passing of a loved one. If there's something we can put our heads and resources together to provide as a city, that might be something to consider as well as for palliative care. And what was your second and third question? Because I feel like I had a response.
Gosh, I don't even remember.
Such a good question too.
They were good questions. No, I made a statement sort of alluding to, there's a large number of people who perceive themselves as being spiritual, but they are not affiliated with any religious entity. Maybe they are not, they may be agnostics or atheists. but they are spiritual and they're people and they have strong beliefs. So I think I sort of alluded to that just to see what you might say.
So I had a response to that actually. Our people who are like participating in our activities are like some of them are atheists, and what happens is that like for example, sometimes we talk about this like what's important isn't the theology or something, like what's important isn't like how I perceive the divine versus how you perceive the divine, because literally everyone's perception is our own imagination, right? This like there's what we've been shared with us, but then how we understand it is our own frame of reference. But the what's important is how we can apply this for transforming ourselves or our society, our institutions, our communities. And that came out of like a conversation. The friends who are atheists were sharing that. Like, it doesn't matter, Farinaz, how you perceive God, you know? Like, what matters to me is how I can use this. How can we benefit the world with this? So, and there's so much, and they see that in all the faiths. They see the value and the, you know, the power, the transformative power. They're willing to tap into it, and they don't need to feel that they have to change their label, you know, or whatever, or become believers in God. They see prayer as a different way. So this happens a lot in our devotional gatherings or study circles where we study reflections on the life of the Spirit, and it's a foundation book for the program that has community building in it. And the Junior Youth Spiritual Empowerment Program is also faith-based, not faith-inspired. It's faith-inspired, not faith-based. So we're not using, like, it's not dogmatic. So it makes it easy for people to participate. I don't know if I'm going to where you're trying to get us to. I don't know. Okay. I don't know if that was helpful.
Thank you, thank you. Would anybody else like to respond to that? Yeah. And I see Joy's back there joining.
Are we back here? Are we allowed to speak? Well, I wanted to mention a program that Gila and the Baha'i community have collaborated on, which is a program called Sacred Ground. It's a faith-based education and dialogue program about the history of racism and the future promise of how we can heal. And we invited all the community to do this. And we have a group, we have about 15 people participating. We have Catholic, a Methodist, a Buddhist, a Baha'i, you know, a real diversity of people there. And and this is all in support of Greenbelt's Reparation Commission, so that we have an educated community to support the work of the Reparations Commission. So what I want to say related to this is that I feel like each congregation provides moral leadership to their own congregation within the teachings of their faith. But I think there are teachings that are common to all faiths that the clergy and the representatives can collaborate and provide moral leadership for all the community, whether they are associated with a congregation or not, with these things, with the values that we all share in common. And I think there's a great potential there. And I issue that as a challenge.
Well, very good. You know, the strength of Greenbelt is diverse people working together in that spirit of cooperation. Hey, would anyone like to make an announcement, an activity that you have coming up? And I'd like Gila. When does Gila meet? Once. Could you say that into the microphone?
Second Thursday of the month. 10 o'clock.
And
a.m.
that's in the community center, or is that here in the municipal building?
It's currently at the community center, except in the summer when we can't get the room. Then it's on Zoom. We do hybrid, right?
Okay. Yes, please go ahead.
March 20th in the afternoon into the evening, there is a party/service project in the Three Sisters Garden, Shroom Hills Park Pavilion party part. Bring your poem or song or dance about the spring or renewal or anything related to that, because it's the new year for the Baha'is and also for the Iranians. But I think just the Baha'is will be there because I'm like one of a few Iranians. So the Three Sisters Garden is collaborating with us. So they're saying, please bring your gardening tools as well, because we want to do maybe some seeding and some weeding and some other things that I don't understand about gardening.
That sounds like fun. Other announcements, things coming up this month?
Luckily for us, Ramadan is around the corner. So it's the next week for the next 30 days, every day. Every day we're going to have people coming in, sharing food, iftar, as you know it, and then just having communal thing going on like every single day for the next 30 days after next week. So we will be there. And fortunately, I have to go and get my son now, so I take my leave.
Thank you. The iftar, is there a closing iftar for that?
Yes, iftar time closes at 9 o'clock.
9
We'll
o'clock
still
after
be
the
there.
sun goes down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Perhaps I'll come out. Perhaps I'll fast for a day.
I'm coming with him because I think it's great. It's a wonderful experience. Thank you so much.
Any other announcements? Yes, Joe.
Thank you. At the Maryland Buddhist Center at 2900 Bellcrest Center Drive, Suite 103. This is right across the street from the PG Plaza, you know, where the bridge goes over East-West Highway. Sort of at the foot of that bridge is where our center is. That will be on the 17th of March, a youth festival. So all are invited, well, all youth are invited, and please contact me if you'd like any connection to it. My name is Joe Parks. Thank you.
St. Pat.
The St. Patrick's Day.
Any other announcements? I just, you've got another one. Go, please.
I have a lot of them. If you want to come to the collective, what do I call it? The Collective Sacred Space devotional gathering, we have it on Zoom or in person, alternating. Apparently hybrid is too much to bear. So that's on the third Saturday of every month. Contact me or Kian if you ever run into her at 7 to 8 p.m. The in-person version includes dinner and it's actual food. And then so that's third Saturday of every month. And then the other activity, if you want to get involved with the Junior Youth Spiritual Empowerment Program and possibly become a mentor or work with us to, do whatever canvassing that will be required. The training is on Tuesday nights, alternating homes in Greenbelt. So you can reach out to me for that too. Tuesday nights at 6:30. It's every other Tuesday night because the other Tuesday nights we're actually doing the Junior Spiritual Empowerment Program with some families in Hyattsville that you can also participate in if you have background checks done.
Okay, and St. Hugh's, anything coming up at St. Hugh's? Rummage sale at the end of June. And the Baptist Church, or are there concerts or any, what time are your services? Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of events, and I think the best way is just to go to our website, greenbeltbaptistchurch.org, rather than me just spew them all out right here. Our service time, Sunday morning, 9:15, Sunday school for all ages. So there's literally all ages. The most exciting within the youth is the 5th to 8th grade. There's about 30 to 40 kids from all over the spectrum learning, memorizing the 1689 Baptist Confession of Faith, written in 1689. And these are 5th to 8th graders who have now memorized about 45 question and answers, and there are 128, and there's going to be a big party for all of them that do memorize them well. In the adult Sunday school class, we have just finished a study on a theology of natural law and why a Christian view of rights is important. And then our Sunday morning service starts at 10:30. We're going through the Gospels and the book of Acts. And then our Sunday evening service is from 5 to 6, where we give most of our time to prayer. And I'll say this to one of your questions: how do we help those who perhaps aren't a part of our church but are in the city? My doors are always open. I'm at the church almost every day in the week, and always open to counseling. I do quite a bit of counseling, marriage counseling, counseling of teens, anything that you want to talk about. Of course, it will come from a Christian biblical perspective, and I will apply those truths as best as I can, but anybody is always welcome to come to Greenbelt Baptist Church and talk.
Thank you. Rabbi, there's special programs going on Sundays, I believe.
We once a month we have a Sundays at Mishkan Torah. We're trying to revive the idea that Sunday is a day to gather as well. We used to have the religious school meet on Sundays. It's been alternating over the number of years, and so Sundays were a big thing. People would gather. Of course, the religious school was bigger then, but now we have a number of activities happening once a month, but we have things happening on Sundays anyhow. But the community is certainly invited. You drop by, grab a bagel, have a cup of coffee, listen to a book discussion or a current events discussion or whatever else. It's just it's been a happy place to be. We on March 23rd, we're having celebrating Purim when we read Megillat Esther, the Scroll of Esther, and that's a really happy time. People come in costume, eat a hamantash and one of the special cookies for the holiday. Food, if you feed them, they will come, right? And so that's open for anybody. If you want any more information, just call in the office or call me. And thank you.
Sounds good. How about at the Lutheran Church? Anything coming up?
Thank you, Mayor. We're planning Community Day once the weather breaks. We just had one November, and once the weather breaks, March, April, we want to have a spring one. And this year we are hoping we may have Vacation Bible School. Hopefully no COVID, no nothing. And I'm trusting somebody to leave the children to come out. We can have a great time together. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements?
Things coming in the Green Belts, the newspaper.
What?
My church announcements.
Right.
And Robert Strasser Goldberg. Yeah.
Just wanted to mention you can support Greenbelt Porch. We'll come right to your door on a particular Sunday. Look for the dates in the news review. My date is I'll come right to your door. If you let me know on the 17th by noon, we're supporting those neighbors that are struggling with food insecurity and working with this wonderful woman and the Sisters of Charity to get food to our neighbors.
Thank you so much. Hey, I just want to thank everyone who came out to join us in this discussion. It's the first time we've sat and talked like this in about 3 or 4 years. So we don't do it that often. Maybe we should do that a little bit more often. 2 years? 2 years? Okay. So the city does have resources, through Greenbelt Cares. We still have some funding through the American Rescue Plan. We have several grant programs that could be applied for and used for activities that would positively impact the city of Greenbelt. So I urge you to talk with Mr. Samaran, Mr. George, the city administration to see if any of those grant programs would help you to meet your needs and the needs of the city at the same time. EngageGreenbelt.org is the website. So, at this time, I suggest that we bring things to a close. Council members, any?
I just want to say briefly, thank you all for coming here. I love how intentional all of you are about the work that you're doing. I really appreciate that. I appreciate the communities that you've built. I mean, many people seek out faith or enlightenment. They go to church or join an organization seeking out faith or God or enlightenment or the divine, but they stay because of the community that they find. So thank you all for building those communities, being intentional about that, because that is a real boon to Greenbelt, because once you're part of an intentional community, it spills out into all parts of your life. So thank you guys so much for that work. I see it every day in this city, and I know that a lot of that's coming from the work that you all are doing. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Other statements? Let's go ahead and wrap things up. We can talk about the calendar a bit. Simply, we do not have a work session coming up on Monday. The National League of Cities Conference is coming up in about a week and a half, 2 weeks. The next work session that we have is economic development, which should be interesting. We were going to have a meeting with the folks at NASA, and unfortunately that's not going to happen. Was that today or was that tomorrow? Tomorrow. But please, everybody's got these assignments and has taken on the responsibility of being a liaison to COG or to MML. And I have to tell you, we have not really had as many people, as many council members engaged. So, being a council member, being a mayor, it's a part-time thing. So although you've got these committees, if you can't make it to the meeting, don't feel like it's the end of the world, but do monitor the activities and engage as much as you possibly can. Any questions? No? Well, let's call it a night. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.